So my trauma timeline starts at age 7 having open heart surgery. I was born with a hole in my heart, and the doctors monitored me till age 6, and they told my parents, you have a 6-month window where we have to operate. The hole in Clark's heart has grown so that we have to do something soon. So at just after age 7, I had open heart surgery. And it was a life or death surgery. This is back in 1971. My parents were so thrilled that I survived this surgery. They used to have me lift up my shirt to all their friends to show my open heart surgery scar. It was like I was doing a peep show for everybody. But God bless my parents, they just were so thrilled, like I had keloid condition where my scars raised up. So I have a pronounced scar on my chest. And one of their friends who I had shown my scar to was Dennis Pegg. I had an older brother who was 6 years older than me in the Scouts. And Dennis was my older brother's scoutmaster. What a predator has to do is a predator has to befriend the family. And what Dennis did was befriend my parents through my older brother's involvement in the Scouts. And when I say befriend, we took Dennis in like he was one of our own. We were sheep, he was a wolf. My father had a lot of land, and Dennis would hunt on our land. He would come over for the holidays, Christmas, bring gifts for everybody. Thanksgiving, be eating dinner at our table. My parents owned a restaurant back then. My father put on big Sunday night meals. Dennis would come over and tell stories about beating inmates at the jail and drinking wine with us. And one time, he had a very bad car crash. And my mother insisted that he recuperate at our house so she could mend him back to health, clean him, take care of him. And all the while, the wheels in Dennis's head are turning. So at age 7, this is 4 months roughly after my open heart surgery operation. It's in the summer months. I had the surgery, I think, in February, March, somewhere around there. I came in from outside. Everybody was out back of the house. I came in to get a drink and to watch TV for a minute. And the TV room was right next to the front door. And there's a loud bang on the front door, and Dennis's booming voice rings out. And I bound out of my chair, and I let him in. And I loved Dennis. Dennis, was this big, macho, tough guy. He was probably 265 pounds. He was ripped. And he's like, where is everybody, little buddy? I'm like, oh, they're all out back. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm having a drink and watching TV. He's like, all right, let's sit for a minute. And he sits next to me on the couch. And he's like, hey, I got a quarter. How about letting me see your open heart surgery scar? I'm like, sure, Den. And I pull my shirt up to my chin. And he goes, I've never seen a scar like yours before. How about if I give you $1 and you let me touch it? And I'm like, sure, Den, go ahead. He's a lieutenant in the sheriff's department. He's my brother's Boy Scout master. He's the big man in our town. Next to my father, he's who I trusted the most. I'm 7 years old. I'm insecure over my scar. And Dennis asked me if he can touch it, and I say, sure. So he takes his big meaty fingers and he starts rubbing them up and down my scar. Then he goes to below my scar line to my lower abdomen and he starts probing it. And he's like, is your stomach sore from the operation? And I'm like, no, Den. He's like, okay. So after a minute of doing that, he's like, here's your $1. He's like, this has to be our little secret. He goes, you and I are Army buddies. Army buddies rely on each other. You can't tell anybody that I touched your scar. I'm like, okay, Den, no problem. He goes, all right, go put that in your piggy bank. I'm going out back to see everybody. And there it began. There he had me. If I don't say something immediately, he's got me. He knows he's got me. But I trusted Dennis, and I didn't say anything.